If Vincent van Gogh were alive today, he would most likely be defined not as an artist, but as a case study in psychiatric records. Because his story is one of a mind tormented by pain, beginning long before any success. This video is not about expensive paintings or famous museums. It is the story of a human being's inner world slowly falling apart. Van Gogh was not born an artist. He tried to hold on to life many times with different identities. First, he became an art dealer but failed. He taught but couldn't hold on. Then he wanted to become a priest but was found too harsh, too obsessive, and too intense for people. No one wanted to work with him for long. Every door he knocked on in his life was slammed shut in his face. He started painting much later than we might think. Van Gogh was 27 when he picked up a brush, at an age when many artists would say it's too late. And in just 10 years, he became one of the most recognizable names in art history. But the irony was this: he never got to know it. During his lifetime, Van Gogh was hardly taken seriously by anyone. His exhibitions were empty. Critics ignored him. He sold only one painting during his lifetime, and that was probably purchased with the support of an acquaintance. The works that are worth millions today were strange paintings that no one wanted to hang on their walls at the time. This loneliness made him withdraw further into himself. He found it difficult to communicate with people, but he could speak through his paintings. Brushstrokes were his language. He poured what he couldn't say onto the canvas. There was almost one constant in Van Gogh's life: his brother Theo. He was the only person who supported him financially, listened to him psychologically, and pulled him back when he gave up. Van Gogh wrote hundreds of letters, and these letters are like a window into his mind today. In these letters, we often see a man who doubts himself, feels worthless, yet continues to create relentlessly. Van Gogh saw himself as a failure. He believed the world would never understand him, and he was probably right. Van Gogh's mood swings were dramatic. Some days he was energetic, productive, and enthusiastic. He would paint non-stop for days on end. Then weeks of deep darkness would follow. He couldn't get out of bed, avoided people, and hated himself. Today, experts believe he may have suffered from bipolar disorder, epilepsy, or severe depression. But one thing is certain: Van Gogh's mind was both his greatest strength and his greatest enemy. In 1888, Van Gogh began living with Paul Gauguin. This is where the real story unfolds. It was here that he was diagnosed as ill. He accepted that he was ill, but tried to hide it. His friend Paul Gauguin and himself were two strong personalities, two intense minds. Arguments were inevitable. After a major fight one night, Van Gogh suffered a nervous breakdown. He looked in the mirror, lost control, and cut off part of his ear. This incident instantly branded him as the mad painter. But in reality, this incident was a visible manifestation of a psychological breakdown that had been going on for some time. We cannot call it just one incident. This is where productivity and success really began. The works that everyone knows by heart began to be created in earnest after this day. He went to the hospital, sat alone in his room with no one's voice or commentary, and painted what he saw from the hospital window. With a simple, clear, and calm mind. He painted his self-portrait with bandaged ears, starry night, and wheat field with poplars. In the hospital where they had committed him as insane. Perhaps this was his way of protecting himself against an uncontrollable life. We call them successful works, but remember, we say this now. At the time, these works were not appreciated by anyone. They were criticized and seen as the work of a madman. Imagine, you are 37 years old and they think you are mad. How could Van Gogh see himself as successful in such a situation? He didn't. He was neither aware of his own talent nor of the beautiful works he left behind for the world.